So let's welcome in now a friend of the briefing, Wisconsin Congressman Derek Van Orden. He is a retired Navy SEAL, now a member of the House Armed Services Committee and a member of the House Subcommittee on Intel. He's also a member of the Subcommittee on Strategic Forces. Sir, it's always great to have you. Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Good to see you.
How many times will the media be fooled? Because they told us all weekend long that Alaska failed. And now I see this president meeting with European leaders for hours and hours. And they seem to be at least trying to get a deal, no?
Well, they're not being fooled. They are doing this intentionally because if they have to admit that President Trump has gotten us closer to peace in Ukraine than anybody, if they have to admit the fact that President Trump has closed 6 wars, two which were going on for over 30 years, if they have to admit that President Trump secured the border and is protecting American citizens against criminal illegal aliens who are raping and murdering us, if they have to admit that there was no Russia hoax, it destroys their entire narrative. So they're in for a penny, they're in for a pound, dude. And the press actively encouraging warfare in Ukraine because it destroys their credibility. It's shameful.
In for a penny, in for a pound, dude. I like that, Congressman. You're very down to earth. That's why I'm plain spoken. I got some news for you. President Trump's on Truth Social right now. We're going to keep an eye on the White House cameras to see if he or other leaders come out. He has a lot of niceties about the diplomacy and then says, at the conclusion of the meetings, I called President Putin and began the arrangements, get this, for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelenskyy. After that meeting takes place, we will have a trilat, which would be the two presidents plus President Trump. Try for 3. Again, very good early step. He's being cautious. Early step for a war that's been going on for almost 4 years. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Witkoff are coordinating with Russia and Ukraine. Thank you for your attention to this matter, which you'd like to say. Congressman, your live reaction. It sounds to me that after hours of pulling these diplomats together from all these European countries, that many of them don't even like this president or don't usually like to work for France and all the Germany, he's saying he called Putin and he's now going to meet with Zelenskyy. This is monumental. These guys haven't met. This is big.
Listen, the goal of a first date is to get a second date. Donald Trump had a first date and now he's going to meet the parents. This is an incredibly amazing thing that is taking place. We've advanced so far towards peace. This is all we want. We want the killing to stop. We want Ukraine to be able to have a functioning democracy where they live in peace with the rest of the world, including trade, which means they're going to have access to the sea. And we want to make sure that Vladimir Putin has the least amount of gains possible from his incursion into Ukraine. They're very simple goals. And when we work together, which is what you saw today in the White House, you saw 7 of the most powerful members of the European Union get together, stand side by side with Donald Trump and say, enough is enough. We are following Donald Trump's leadership in this matter because he has proven that he can lead. And what's interesting, if you look at that picture you just pulled up there, a B-2 had just flown over Vladimir Putin's head. A B-2 did not fly over President Zelensky's head, did it?
No.
Because we're closer to Ukraine than we are with Russia, period.
There you go. I want to get into some of the nitty-gritty because we're going to continue to monitor the breaking news this hour. But a big part of any deal is that President Trump, as you know, has endorsed what he's calling serious security guarantees for Ukraine. And Putin apparently on Friday said, okay, you and the Europeans can be stationed around and in Ukraine, not quite being part of NATO, but like NATO or similar, where we could back them up. And the media spent the weekend saying, Putin's not conceding to anything. I think it actually seems like a big concession. And today the president said the European countries will be the first line of defense, but America will be involved. And he seemed to leave the door open to maybe even U.S. troops or the U.S. Air Force patrolling over Ukraine. What do you think this means? How actively involved will the U.S. be to protect Ukraine? And how important are these security guarantees?
Well, people are throwing around a term, they're saying Article 5 like a relationship, which I disagree with. So Article 5 is part of the NATO treaty that says an attack on one individual NATO member means that everybody, collective defense treaty, everybody gets involved in armed conflict, and I don't want that to happen. Right. What I would like to happen is to have some type of demilitarized zone set up similar to South Korea and North Korea, and then have an international peacekeeping force, not the UN, because they're an anti-Semitic, corrupt group of people, but the European Union. I'm surprised no one's brought this up yet. So there's a European rapid reaction force of about 5,000 troops that's standing by right now that could be deployed tomorrow as an international peacekeeping force. Now, on top of that, Ed, what we need to see is a full list of sanctions, crushing sanctions that would take place against Russia, and also, so it's primary and then secondary sanctions against anybody if Putin were to break a peace agreement. And that would be non-negotiable. So you'd have an international military peacekeeping force, not the UN, of course, but the European be providing that. And then also Vladimir Putin needs to know exactly what the stakes are if he were to break a peace agreement. But again, everybody should be incredibly thankful right now because we're closer to peace than we have been in years.
And one person got us to that point, and it's President Donald J. Trump. One other quick thing. The Financial Times reporting the last few moments that Zelenskyy reportedly rejected a proposal to freeze the front line if forces withdraw from Luhansk and Donetsk region. These are very big parts of the conversation. What is your sense, so there's positivity because there's going to be another meeting with Putin, but there are pieces of this that Zelenskyy is still not on board with. Talk about that and what your hope is about getting these two people in a room, though, where maybe they can finally hash this out.
In order to have a demilitarized zone, you have to have the ability to defend on both sides. That means you need to find geographic terrain features that are defensible. And so to me, it's absolutely amazing. And I am the world's biggest optimist. If President Zelenskyy is now speaking about individual areas that he's willing to talk about seceding to Russia so that he can defend the country, that is an incredibly positive move. So Ukraine, again, has to have the ability to defend themselves. And the European Union has to be able to, be ready to stand by to help defend Ukraine. And the United States of America needs to be firm with Russia and let them know that they will pay a very, very heavy economic price if they violate any type of peace agreement that comes to play, hopefully, within the next month or so.
Yeah, and an important point also you made a moment ago.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, please.
During the Vietnam War, which we were directly involved in, it took over a year to decide what the shape of the table would be for the Paris peace agreements. So when these people on the left, including the majority of the legacy media, are griping about it took 6 months to get these guys to the table, they're either historically ignorant or they're just so delusional due to their Trump derangement syndrome. So we're moving in the right direction for the first time. And you are correct, sir. This is only due to Donald J. Trump.
There's one person. The TDS seems like a good explanation. I was just going to make the point you made and reinforce it, that you talked about crushing sanctions down the road if Russia doesn't keep their word, as opposed to Lindsey Graham, some Rhino Republicans and Democrats saying sanctions now, which would blow up these talks. So, Congressman, you bring a lot of sense to the table. We appreciate it. We'll have you back soon. Thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. God bless you and your viewers.